My cousin found out that a truck smuggling king cobras would be passing through our village entrance. She then rallied the whole village to join her in stopping the truck and rescuing the snakes. These are nationally protected animals. If we save them, our village will go viral. The villagers were eager to jump on the bandwagon, hoping to become internet famous and make a fortune. But I knew exactly how dangerous this was, so I went to great lengths to persuade each person one by one. In the end, my cousin and the villagers gave up on the idea. Unexpectedly, the snake smuggling truck crashed and overturned in the neighboring village, and all the snakes were rescued by them. That incident made the neighboring village go viral online, and they capitalized on the buzz to transform it into an internet-famous destination. It's all because of your short-sightedness. Otherwise, our village would have been the one to make it big. My cousin and the villagers were consumed by jealousy, convinced that I had blocked their path to fortune, and they conspired to murder me. Welcome to Panda Storyboard. Put on your headphones, get cozy, and settle in. Let's enjoy this story together. If you like it, don't forget to subscribe and give the video a like. Now, let's begin. When I opened my eyes again, I found myself back on the day my cousin was about to rescue the king cobras. This time I decided not to interfere. Let's see how my cousin and the villagers plan to save these cold-blooded king cobras. If I didn't consider you all family, why would I even bring you along on this? My cousin Selena said excitedly. Other villages have all sorts of income streams. Their folks don't lift a finger, just sit back and collect dividends all year. Look at yourselves, breaking your backs in the fields all year just to scrape by. Now you've got a chance to make a fortune without lifting a finger. Are you really going to say no? Listening to Selena's excited words, I saw the eager anticipation on the faces of the villagers around us. It quickly dawned on me. I had been reborn. Selena had somehow gotten wind of a smuggled king cobra shipment passing through our village. She immediately sensed a business opportunity, rushed back to the village with me, and rallied everyone to rescue the snakes, hoping this stunt would make her an overnight sensation. It's actually understandable why Selena thinks this way. Lately, many influencers have gone viral online for rescuing stray cats and dogs. Selena has considered it herself, but rescuing and treating these stray animals costs a lot of money, and she can't afford it with her unstable income. So for her, rallying the whole village to capture the king cobras seems like a high-reward, low-risk venture. But I know a thing or two about wildlife behavior. King cobras are the only snakes that will actively stand up and attack humans. Trying to rescue one without any experience is practically suicidal. So, in my past life, I immediately stopped everyone and showed the villagers some educational videos. Although they wanted fame and money, they valued their lives more. One by one, after my persuasion, everyone gave up on the idea. Left with no support, Selena had no choice but to back down as well. But who would have thought that the smuggler's truck would overturn in the neighboring village? They caught the smugglers, rescued a truckload of snakes, and just like Selena predicted, became an internet sensation, raking in huge profits. Because of this incident, the whole village resented me. Incited by Selena, they took advantage of my return home for ancestral worship, tied me up, and beat me to death. At this thought, I forcefully suppressed the hatred in my heart, and didn't immediately argue with Selena like I did in my past life. Without my objections, the villagers grew even more enthusiastic. Selena is absolutely right. If our village becomes an internet-famous destination, we could develop tourism, vacation resorts, and all kinds of amusement parks. One villager shouted. Exactly. Our village has beautiful mountains and waters. We're just missing that one opportunity. This isn't some smuggled king cobra. It's our ticket to prosperity. The ancestors are smiling upon us. Everyone was getting excited, and they could hardly wait to set up roadblocks for the smuggling vehicles. But the village chief hesitated, furrowing his brow. Don't just think about the money, consider the risks too. What if someone gets bitten? The village chief didn't finish his sentence, but the implication was crystal clear. One bite from that thing, and the whole village would be attending a funeral feast. In my past life, the more timid villagers immediately paled, realizing that no amount of money was worth risking their lives. Seeing everyone's hesitation, my money-hungry cousin Tyrone snapped back. Chief, since when did you become so spineless? Haven't we got plenty of snakes in the back hills? Don't we eat snakes all year round? The village chief clicked his tongue. That's completely different. The snakes in our back hills are only mildly venomous or harmless. A king cobra isn't your ordinary snake. It can Before he could finish, Tyrone cut him off. At the end of the day, a king cobra is just a snake, nothing more. All that talk about danger is just animal protection groups trying to scare people. They're afraid we'll hunt the king cobras to extinction. You know how things are in our country. If we don't put a stop to it, they'll devour everything in sight. The village chief, not being very knowledgeable, couldn't argue back. He could only look at me pleadingly. Iris, you are the first graduate student from our village. What do you think? Is this feasible? It's pretty much the same as last time. Selena was absolutely thrilled at that moment. And the village chief asked me the same question. I thought the village chief trusted me, so I immediately tried my best to persuade everyone. But it wasn't until I was about to die that I realized he only asked because he didn't want to go himself and was trying to shirk responsibility. When they finally killed me, he picked up a bowl-sized rock and smashed it right into me, shouting, "I thought you were a graduate student who'd know better, but it turns out all that studying just made you stupid." Thinking of this, I took a deep breath and said, "King Cobra." Before I could finish, Selena suddenly slapped me and snapped, "Shut up. What the hell do you know? Just because you're a grad student, you think you know everything? Don't listen to her. She's definitely going to say king cobras are highly venomous and extremely dangerous. But she doesn't mean it. She's perfectly capable of landing a high-paying job on her own, and her household registration was moved out long ago. There's no way she'd take risks for our sake." Hearing this, my eyebrows shot up. This part is different from my previous life, which means Selena is most likely a reincarnator too. A cold sweat broke out on me. Thank goodness I hesitated and kept my mouth shut just now. If I had tried to rally everyone, Selena would have definitely realized I was reborn. She probably would have killed me ahead of time just to get rich. I took that slap, covering my face with teary eyes, too afraid to speak up again. Seeing me like that, Selena immediately breathed a sigh of relief. "Chief, I know you're worried about the danger, but my life matters too. I'm scared of dying just like anyone else. That's why I've thought it through. We can't go into this unprepared. We need to gear up completely. No matter how deadly a king cobra is, it's still just a snake. The worst it can do is bite, and with proper protective gear, it can't touch us. Besides, if smugglers can catch them, why can't we? You have to believe me. If we do nothing, someone else will get rich." With Selena's reassurance, the villagers had no further objections. Selena walked over, snatched my phone, and breathed a sigh of relief when she saw I was still researching king cobras, just like in my past life. "Sis, I know you're just worried about everyone's safety," she said smoothly. "But trust me, I've got this all figured out." The villagers quickly got to work. They pooled money together to buy thick protective suits, gloves, and snake-catching tools. Selena coordinated everything, acting like some kind of rescue mission commander. I watched silently from the sidelines, making sure not to interfere. This time, I would let fate take its course. The day came when the truck was supposed to pass through. The villagers set up roadblocks and waited with their equipment. Sure enough, around midnight, a large truck came rumbling down the road. "That's it! That's the one!" Selena shouted. The villagers swarmed the truck, forcing it to stop. The driver looked terrified as dozens of people surrounded his vehicle. "We know what you're carrying," Tyrone yelled. "You're smuggling king cobras. We're rescuing them." The driver tried to argue, but the crowd was having none of it. They forced open the back of the truck. Inside were dozens of crates, and in those crates were king cobras. The snakes, disturbed and agitated, began hissing and moving around. The villagers, despite their protective gear, suddenly looked a lot less confident. "Come on, everyone," Selena called out. "We've come this far. We can't back out now. The whole world is going to be watching us." Emboldened by her words, the villagers started opening the crates. That's when everything went wrong. One of the cobras struck at Tyrone, its fangs somehow finding a gap in his protective suit. He screamed and fell backward. Chaos erupted. More snakes escaped, and more villagers got bitten. The controlled rescue operation turned into a nightmare. I stood at a safe distance, watching it all unfold. This is exactly what happened in the neighboring village in my original timeline, except there, they'd called wildlife experts immediately. Here, Selena had convinced everyone they could handle it themselves. Within minutes, several villagers were on the ground, writhing in pain. The venom was taking effect. Selena, to her credit, hadn't been bitten yet. She'd stayed back, filming everything on her phone, probably thinking she'd edit it into a viral video later. But then, she realized people were actually dying. Her face went pale. "Call an ambulance! Call the police!" she screamed. But it was too late for some. By the time help arrived, 3 villagers had already died from the venom. Several others were in critical condition. The authorities arrested the truck driver and confiscated the snakes, but they also investigated the villagers for interfering with the police matter and causing the deaths. The entire incident was caught on multiple phones and security cameras. Instead of going viral as heroes, the village became infamous. News outlets ran stories about foolish villagers attempting dangerous snake rescue, resulting in multiple deaths. Social media was merciless, calling them idiots and laughing at their stupidity. The neighboring village, meanwhile, handled their truck incident perfectly. When a similar truck crashed there a few days later, they immediately called wildlife experts and police. They rescued the snake safely, got praised online, and yes, they became an internet sensation, but for doing things the right way. Our village got nothing but shame and lawsuits. The families of the dead villagers blamed Selena for leading their loved ones to their deaths. But Selena had a convenient scapegoat. "It's Iris's fault," she screamed at a village meeting. "She's a graduate student. She should have stopped us. She should have explained better how dangerous it was. She knew and said nothing." The villagers, looking for someone to blame, turned their anger toward me. Never mind that I tried to warn them in my previous life, and they'd killed me for it. Never mind that this time, Selena herself had told me to shut up when I tried to speak. "Why didn't you stop us?" they demanded. "You knew better." I looked at them calmly. "Would you have listened? Last time, I caught myself. I mean, when I tried to speak, Selena slapped me and told me to shut up. All of you chose to believe her instead. You made your choice. But grief and guilt make people irrational. The village chief, who'd asked for my opinion but really just wanted to avoid responsibility, was the loudest. "You should have tried harder. You should have made us understand." It was the same pattern repeating. They made terrible decisions, suffered the consequences, and then looked for someone else to blame. This time, though, I was prepared. I'd quietly documented everything: Selena's planning, the villagers' enthusiasm, my attempts to speak that were shut down. I had it all recorded on my phone. When they came for me during the ancestral worship, intending to kill me like before, I was ready. "Before you do anything you'll regret," I said calmly, "you should know that I've sent all the evidence to a lawyer. If anything happens to me, it goes straight to the police. Every video, every conversation, everything showing that you chose this path, despite being warned." They hesitated. Selena looked furious. "You're bluffing." "Am I?" I pulled out my phone and showed them the sent emails, the lawyer's confirmation. "I learned my lesson. I tried to save you once, and you killed me for it. You think I'd make the same mistake twice?" The village chief's face went white. The others looked at each other uncertainly. Their plot to murder me and blame it on an accident had just fallen apart. But Selena wasn't done. She'd invested too much in this, lost too much. "Fine," she snarled, "but you're not leaving this village alive. None of us are going down for this alone." She lunged at me with a knife, but I'd hired bodyguards who'd been watching from a distance. They intercepted her immediately, disarming her and restraining her. The police arrived shortly after I'd called them, the moment I saw the villagers gathering. Selena and the ringleaders were arrested for attempted murder. The others scattered, finally understanding they'd been caught. At the police station, Selena kept insisting I should have stopped them. "You knew," she screamed. "You knew how dangerous it was. You're just as guilty as anyone." I looked at her through the glass. "I tried to warn you. You told me to shut up. You slapped me. You convinced everyone I was jealous and didn't want them to succeed. What exactly should I have done? Tie you all up? You're adults who made your own choices." She had no answer to that. The evidence was overwhelming. Video footage showing her leadership, her silencing of my concerns, her encouragement of the risky behavior. She was charged with reckless endangerment resulting in death, and conspiracy to commit murder. The neighboring village, meanwhile, continued to thrive. They'd done everything right, called experts, followed proper procedures, and gotten praised for it. They became the success story Selena had wanted us to be. Our village became a cautionary tale. Tourism? Who wants to visit the place where idiots got themselves killed trying to catch king cobras? The property values plummeted. Young people fled to other cities. The village slowly died. I visited one last time before the trial. The village chief tried to approach me, looking desperate. Iris, please, tell them we didn't mean for anyone to die. Tell them it was an accident. I looked at him coldly, remembering how he'd smashed that rock into my skull in my previous life. An accident? You chose greed over safety. You chose to believe Selena's lies over common sense. You chose to blame me when things went wrong. These weren't accidents. They were choices. At the trial, Selena got 20 years. The village chief and other ringleaders got 10 to 15 years each. The families of the dead villagers got nothing. No compensation, no justice. Just the knowledge that their loved ones died because of their own stupidity and greed. I moved on with my life. I got a good job in the city, far from that cursed village. Sometimes people ask me where I'm from, and I tell them I'm from a small village in the mountains. If they press for details, I just say, it's not there anymore. Everyone left. Which is basically true. The village still exists on maps, but it's a ghost town now. The few people who remain are too old or too poor to leave. I never told anyone about being reborn, about living through this nightmare twice. What would be the point? They'd think I was crazy. Besides, some stories are better left untold. But I learned something important from this experience. You can't save people from themselves. You can warn them, show them the danger, beg them to reconsider. But if they're determined to run off a cliff, all you can do is step aside and let them. The first time, I tried to be a hero. I tried to save them, and they killed me for it. The second time, I let nature take its course. They destroyed themselves, and I survived. I don't feel guilty. I gave them every chance. They chose their path, and I chose mine. And unlike them, I chose wisely. Sometimes I think about Selena, sitting in prison, probably still convinced that everything is my fault. She was given a second chance at life, just like me. I used mine to learn from my mistakes and build a better future. She used hers to repeat the same mistakes, just with more determination, and now she's paying the price for it. As the saying goes, fool me once, shame on you. Fool me twice, shame on me. I wasn't going to be fooled twice. And in the end, that made all the difference.